Akainu will one day step in front of Luffy to save him. What? You don't know what to feel about that, huh? Hate it or love it? Well, in this video I'm gonna tell you why this actually might happen. The world of One Piece is turned upside down. Monkey D. Luffy stands in front of Nerona Imu to stop them from ruining his dream, but the fight is fierce. Imu sends one of their underlings after another towards Luffy, and he is unable to reach his goal in the final meters. His crew is left behind fighting other world government lackeys. Things are looking grim, but suddenly, a flash of light in the sky, a laser shoots in front of Luffy, blocking an attack that could have cost him his head. It's Kizaru. Luffy is confused, but before he can fathom what is going on, the ground around him starts freezing, and a thick layer of ice catches many of Imu's pawns. Luffy, still confused, looks past Borsalino and can trust his eyes. A gigantic fist of magma rains down upon Imu-sama. Akainu, the man who killed his brother, is here to bring absolute justice to the person who has manipulated him his entire life. Together, the three former Admirals and Luffy fight side by side. Luffy is conflicted. The man that killed his brother is aiding him, and he doesn't know how to feel. But there's no time for something like this right now. What matters most is to take down Imu. After a fierce fight, they manage to capture Imu and restrain him. Things seem to settle down, and words between Luffy and Akainu have not yet been exchanged. Luffy is fighting with his feelings. He learned from Jinbei and Rayleigh to be a greater man, but the loss of his brother still pains him deep inside. Together they bring Imu to his ship, transport him towards New Marineford, and just as they are about to break apart and go to different places, Akainu stops Luffy. He looks grim, and it seems he is about to say something to Luffy, when suddenly, darkness consumes everything around them, and the sea and the ground begin to shake. It is Blackbeard who has come to get Imu, but not to free them, but rather to obtain their powers. The final battle takes place. But what is it that makes me think this could happen? You might already be familiar with the story of Momotaro, a Japanese folklore about a boy born from a peach, who one day ventures out to defeat a group of Oni who marauded on his family's lands. On his way to the island of the Onis, called Onigashima, he meets three animals which will join him and aid him in his course. A dog, a monkey and a pheasant. Now, it might be old news to you that these are the exact same animals associated with the original three Admirals. But if you didn't or forgot about it, Akainu means red dog, Aokiji blue pheasant, and last but not least Kizaru yellow monkey. Momotaro meets the animals as follows. First the dog, then the monkey, and the last one to cross his path is the pheasant. Now, let's say our boy Luffy is a kid born from a peach and the One Piece version of Momotaro, right? Or should I say, reverse Momotaro? Because he meets the Admirals in the exact reversed order. First, he meets Aokiji after he defeated the great pirate Foxy. Then Kizaru at Sabaody. And Akainu finally left his very unpleasant impression on Luffy at Marineford. You might wonder, why does that matter? The three Admirals are not Luffy's allies, especially not Akainu. But the last chapter was the final straw for me to make this theory, because, in my opinion, there's just one person at the scene with Saint Saturn who possibly could have given Luffy the food. In chapter 1103, we see how someone suddenly placed food beside Luffy. If you consider how strong Saturn seems to be, not to mention all the other marines and people in the place who are watching the scene, then Kizaru definitely is the only valid option that could explain how the food got there. The dude can move with the speed of light. He's still laying down here, but at the next panel, he's sitting upright. Just look at this. Is that the face of a man who is indifferent to the fate of Kuma? When he took Luffy's punch through his head, he was thinking, this isn't good. Why though? Is it not good because he feels bad that he couldn't carry out his orders? Or is it actually that he would try to do something different as he reaches Vegapunk and Bonnie? I mean, look at this. Borsalino was literally dancing the dance of liberation together with Vegapunk, Kuma, Bonnie and Santomaru. His motto is uncleared justice, huh? That sounds like a dead giveaway for me already. It seems like the man is hiding something underneath his calm and relaxed demeanor. And all the previously mentioned points indicate that he could sooner or later aid our hero's cause. Let's leave it at that for now. Next up, Aokiji. What can I say, the man already left the Marines, and after everything we have seen in the past from him, we were really hyped to see him join the crew. Jokes aside, but I gotta be honest with you, back then when I heard that Aokishi left the Marines, I was like, damn, that dude is gonna aid my favorite pirate crew someday. Turns out, I was wrong. This ice cold bicycle boss turned into a snitch and sided with Blackbeard, right? Actually, I think there's not a single reader of One Piece who is not suspicious of this whole thing. I think Kuzan is the one man of the original Admirals where everyone can agree on the fact that he will not stay with Blackbeard's crew until the end. The man clearly has his own agenda. Since Ohara happened, he was down in the Marines and the world government's action and started to question his orders. He might have had good intentions and ideas if he were to become the fleet admiral, but in the end, he lost to Sakazuki and decided to leave. But did he really lose? Was it perhaps on purpose so he could opt out of the eyes of the Marines and the world government and just act like a butthurt guy? Was it a coincidence that he was sitting at the bar when Blackbeard approached? Would a man go so far as to even offer his limbs for a greater good? Well, I guess Zoro would answer this question with a clear yes. Even more so, this man's agenda seems to be so huge that he is even willing to sacrifice his beloved teacher for it just to not blow his cover. At least that is the only explanation I have for Aokishi's behavior in chapter 1087. It's that, or he has turned full evil, but I just cannot see this as an option. Also, he's very lucky that Garp is a big softie, otherwise his head would have been blown off at this exchange of punches. Sadly, since chapter 1088 we don't know what happened to Garp. But the picture of him on the ground didn't look good, and Kuzan definitely hated what he had to do. For me, this is the face of regret. I'm pretty sure we will learn more in the future about the Blue Pheasant's past and his motivations behind everything he's doing since we got to know him. But one thing is clear, he is not a fan of the world government. And now, for our fan favorite, the baker himself, Akainu. But before that, a word from our sponsor, me. Yes, that's right, because from now on you are able to become a member of my channel and reach greatness by being a member. Enjoy various goodies, such as early access to new videos, future member-only streams, member shoutouts, and a secret so horrible that you wish you would have never heard it. Become a member now to get full access to amazing emotes like Foxy W, Mihawk L, or Hattori Savage. Join now! You can also just sub to my channel and like the video if you don't want to join. That's cool too. Or both! I bet you were waiting for this section of the video because claiming that Sakazuki, the man who killed Ace, will one day come to Luffy's aid is pretty bold. I admit. But let me try to convince you why I think that might happen. First of all, clearly, as mentioned before, the three animals who accompany Momotaro to Onigashima are the monkey, the pheasant and the dog. I already made points for the monkey and pheasant, but we really need that dog to be a good boy so he can join in the fun adventure. So just by pointing out this, I think it's clear that Akainu needs to aid Luffy too in the end. And just imagine what kind of plot twist that would be. It wouldn't only be Luffy who would have to get a grip of his emotions. Imagine how people would react when they suddenly see Sakazuki jumping in front of Luffy to save his ass. How would you feel about this? Let me know in the comments. But Momotaro aside, I want to provide other clues too. Lately, Akainu is getting pretty tired of the world government and their decisions. In chapter 793, he outright yells at the five elders. You gotta have some balls to do that. He clearly has his own idea of justice, which is absolute justice. And he's one of those guys who are hard to convince of other opinions. Obvious. He is literally ordering the five elders to get a grip on the Shishibukai situation, especially Doflamingo, who is using the world government like his puppets. He's even smoking his cigar while doing so, even though this clearly is a non-smoking area. Rude. Anyway, just a few moments later while our fiery admiral was playing No You Duh with good old Topman Valkyrie here, another marine storms into the room informing them about the fall of Doflamingo by the hands of Straw Hat Luffy and Law. And Sakazuki? He basically got what he was asking for just a minute ago. The Flamingo problem was solved. That must have left an impression on the man. Nowadays, he's just sitting at his desk and filling out documents and papers. That's nothing like he imagined it would be, as we can see in chapter 1064. Very soon, he might realize that he himself could become nothing more than a damn puppet. Do you guys think he will like that? I certainly don't. The man will realize that he has accomplished nothing so far and will take matters into his own hands. And one day, he will come to see that the government he was fighting for the entire time was actually responsible for everything he despises so much. The Hidden Island has an amazing video on Sakazuki. I will link it in the description. You will not regret watching it, if you have not seen it already. He also brings up many points about the Admirals that I didn't mention here, but most of them support very well what I am getting at in this video. But we come to different conclusions. I truly think that Sakazuki will have a redemption arc.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
And that he will full willingly aid Luffy. In Momotaro, the dog was the first one to join the hero. In One Piece, he might be the last one. The man is stubborn and proud, but even he cannot ignore the accomplishments of the Straw Hats over the course of time. Alabasta, Dressrosa, Wano Kuni, sooner or later he will have to recognize and admit that the Straw Hat crew does not only leave chaos in their wake but also peace. If it is true what Hidden says in his video about Sakazuki, where he makes assumptions that his village might have been ravaged by evil guys as he was a kid and there was no navy around to take care of the matter, which led him to become such a fanatic of absolute justice, then seeing how Luffy frees these countries or perhaps the whole world from evil will ultimately lead him to understanding what he has to do. But we don't stop here, because this is not a video about Sakazuki alone. In the story of Momotaro, he and his animal companions travel to Onigashima to attack the evil Oni which marauded on his lands. There are many different versions, but in many of them the Oni stole the treasure as well. As for the Oni, when Momotaro arrives, in some versions he and the animals either trick the Onis into defeat or they fight and kill them, and in some versions they actually defeat them and take their leader as a hostage. And this version is the one that is the most interesting to me, because I think that the fight against Imo and their lackeys will not be the final one in One Piece, and we also know that Luffy does not kill his opponents. In my opinion, the final fight will be against Blackbeard. I say this because over all these years we might have learned more about Imo than Blackbeard. Don't you think that's weird? We almost know nothing about him, but instead, lately, we learn more and more about the past of Imo. The whole way Blackbeard is set up screams final villain for me. He gathers different powers and actually can use them, which is already weird enough. He seems to appear at parties when they are almost over, just to snatch some goodies here and there, and he actually was shown to us pretty early in the series. There are many people who criticize that Imo was introduced rather late into the story, and that it is bad storytelling for the final villain. But that's the thing, Imo is not the final villain, it's Blackbeard. When political matters and historical stuff are sorted out and the goal is close, there will be one final obstacle, and that is Blackbeard. There are 10 Titanic captains and there will be 10 crewmates for the Straw Hats. As much as I want Bonnie to be the last crewmate, it will be Vivi. And I will tell you about that in my next theory, which will blow your mind by the way. And yes, this also means that Kuzan will not stay with the Blackbeard pirates until the end. Someone else will take the 10th spot, so it will be a 10 vs 10 battle for the final. The Grand Fleet will already come into use at the fight against Imo and the world government, but the final battle will be 10 vs 10, mark my words. Anyway, as I mentioned, Blackbeard has a thing with popping up late and stealing abilities, and I think this is exactly what he's going to do. So after Momotaro and his pets, Luffy and the Admirals took on Imo and captured them on Onigashima, Marijoa, Blackbeard will arrive late to the all-out war. And the moment when Imo is finally taken down and restrained, Blackbeard will be there to take them hostage and steal their powers. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking the video, leave a comment and also subscribe to my channel. And as I already said, the next one is gonna be a banger. So stay tuned for this and see you next time.